Look at the way the Daily Mail has reported this. American bare-knuckle boxer attacks NHS staff who wouldn't be allowed to work on farm animals in the US as he suffers from infections following his fight. The American bare-knuckle boxer they're referring to is Paulie Malignaggi. For those of you who don't know, he's a fairly famous ex-boxer who held world titles at junior welterweight and welterweight. In the peak of his career, he fought the likes of Ricky Hatton, Amir Khan, Adrian Broner, Miguel Cotto and Sean Porter. Following his retirement from boxing, he was regularly booked across multiple networks for punditry work, but after getting axed by Showtime for a remark he made about racial equality, he fell out of favour with US broadcasters, which is presumably why he went on to become something of an advocate for bare-knuckle boxing. Recently, he's made a return to punditry, regularly appearing on the Murdoch-owned Talk Sport. Although referring to Malignaggi as a bare-knuckle boxer is technically true, since he's been a media personality for most of the past decade, this is something of a mischaracterisation. Seemingly, the Mail was going for the most sensationalist headline possible whilst limiting any potential scrutiny. The article refers to comments made by Malignaggi during an interview at the beginning of May, relating to the care he received at Leeds General Hospital following a bare-knuckle fight that took place in October 2025.
But they have people in the UK that work in the NHS that in America probably wouldn't even be allowed to work on farm animals. And they let them work on human beings in these hospitals. And I was in that hospital all night. My wounds were not cleaned and so on and so forth. So basically what I'm getting at is the complications from one of the stitches in the cuts, which is this one right here, has been constantly infected. And this is due to the animals that they have working at the NHS. Absolute inept animals who also, by the way, were keeping me in the waiting room, not cleaning up the blood dripping down my face. And I'm hearing them like washwomen in the other room just gossiping, talking. The hospital's almost completely empty. They don't even have a guy there to stitch anybody, let alone at least, take care of whoever's in there. And one of the two scars probably wasn't stitched up well and didn't heal up well because of the infection and their lack of qualifications to even clean up a cut and stitch it up. Mind you, this is like kindergarten stuff in the US, if you go to a hospital in the US.
Since I was angered by the comments Malignaggi made on his own social media account at the time, and since no one else is going to, let's see if what he says stands up. This is him in hospital a few hours after the fight, moaning about his opponent's fouls. He mentions already having had his eyes checked and receiving a CT scan. Presumably, since the cuts are significant, the hospital decided it would be best if they wait for the plastic surgeon to do his stitches. Seems reasonable. Certainly not negligent.
What's up, everybody? I just want to give everybody a big thanks for all your well wishes. I'm fine. I'm still in Leeds General Hospital. This is crazy, by the way. I don't know how it works in the UK. I still have not been stitched up. It's 4:30 in the morning. I got here 10 o'clock. Still have not been stitched up, guys. They x-rayed me, didn't give me the results of my hands. They gave me a CAT scan. I've got broken ribs in the back from all the rabbit punches, not the rabbit punches, the kidney punches. The kid broke my ribs with the kidney punches, my lower rib on my left side. And I have my eyes are too foggy still. When they put the light, the really bright light, it's too foggy for them to tell the extent of the damage. They're hoping that it's just, poked and that's it. But it's too foggy, which means there's bleeding back there. So they have to check for a retina tear. And until that clears up, they can't really make a judgment on whether I have a torn retina or not. I pray to God that I don't have a torn retina. But my eyesight is getting better in this eye, at least. That's positive. It's not back 100%, but it's at least foggy. After the fight, I couldn't see anything. I actually finished the fight from round 2 on, not being able to see out of this eye. But I didn't realize I wasn't seeing out of this eye until the fight ended, and I went like this. And when I went like this, I could not see anything out of this eye. It was all white. So that means from about round 2, when I put that bad eye poke, I was fighting with one eye the whole fight, It's kind of crazy. Good fight by Tyler, It was, I hope everybody was entertained. I really appreciate everybody's well wishes and caring. I think all in all, if you eliminate the fouls, it wouldn't be a lot of damage. The big cut is from a headbutt. The eye issue is from my eye poke, and the broken ribs in my back are from dirty kidney punches. So if we eliminate those things, I think the fight becomes probably less competitive. But nonetheless, a good entertaining scrap. I thought me and Tyler put on a good show, and I wish him the best. And that's it, man. But will somebody let me know why Leeds General? I don't know. Is this all the hospitals in the UK? Do you just come here and never get stitched up? This is a record. I've never seen this in my life. They actually gave me a CAT scan before they stitched me up. I'm still not stitched up, guys. How does this work? Somebody let me know how this works. Leeds General Hospital. Do they have people that stitch people in hospitals in the UK? How does it work? I don't know. I'm still here.
So let's hear what he says in an interview 48 hours later.
A big part, obviously, where it took, I think, 12 hours or so from the moment you went into hospital to your stitches getting done. I think there's been a big misconception, and a lot of people said online, oh, why didn't the doctor at the venue sort it out? Obviously, just for clarity, you was kind of chucked in an ambulance and sent to hospital straight away. So that option kind of went out the way. And also, obviously, from doing some research, the doctor that's normally at fight nights, they're not experts in stitches.
It's not plastic surgeon.
It's not plastic surgeon. It tends to be somebody who does it here and there, might do it once a month.
How much research did this guy have to do to figure that out? This is basic stuff. You'd presume someone running a large boxing channel would know how it works, and that promoters book the cheapest ringside medic they can and always have. And here lies the issue across the entire media landscape currently. Whether it's sport or music or politics, simply with a bit of consistency, a bit of luck with the algorithm, helmets like this can end up with sizable platforms and get access to high-profile people in their chosen space. Audiences then laud these people as experts based on this access. Couple this with competition for access and the fact that channels would do anything not to lose it, then problems emerge. High-profile individuals know that the channels aren't going to push back on anything they say for fear of losing future interviews. So we've ended up with a situation where if a person needs a profile boost to promote a book or a fight or an electoral campaign, there are so many little platforms for them to choose from. They just select the ones that will give them the softest interview.
10 hours for a plastic surgeon. I got to the hospital, say around 10:30, somewhere between 10 and 11. I say 10:30 just to keep it in the middle. I didn't get stitched up till 7 a.m. But if I had to go back and you tell me, okay, you get stitched up and you be out of here much faster, but if you get a regular Joe Schmo doctor to stitch you, or you can wait for the plastic surgeon at 7 a.m., I think I'd have probably waited for the plastic surgeon anyway. but
Okay, so the interviewer says 12 hours. Paulie corrects him. It's 10 hours, as he's got there between 10 and 11, say 10:30. But the plastic surgeon gets there at 7. So already it's gone from all night to 10 hours, but in fact, going off his own numbers, it's actually closer to 8.
Was after all my pro boxing matches, the day after, the 2 days later, I was looked worse as well. So, keep this in mind. And there's stitched up here. And obviously there's a little puffiness and swelling. So the worst of it is gone, I guess the only thing bothering me more right now, because even my eyesight is much better in my right eye. It's not back 100%, but it's much better. So I'm just looking for confirmation from the retina test. But the only thing that's bothering me real bad, which is something, I think anybody who's had rib injuries will tell you, is the rib injury,
It looks like a pretty neat stitch job too. And in his own words, it always looks worse a day or so later. Also, it seems as if the only thing bothering him is his rib, and even mentioned that if the option was there for him to get stitched by someone else earlier, then he'd still have waited for the specialist.
He didn't get there till 7 a.m. And when he got there, he was a very nice guy, and we did have a conversation. He did tell me he had come from 2 other hospitals. So, because it did take a while to stitch me up, so we had a chat, and he was very friendly. Although the entire hospital staff, to be fair, were very friendly with me and very nice people, but it just felt like, I don't know, there was an understaffing problem or something. It just felt like something wasn't right. I don't know, maybe because I wanted to say, okay, England is like the United States, it's on the same level, so, there's supposed to be the same level of service when it comes to medical, but maybe I had that misconception myself, because I'm also an Italian citizen, and I know that if I go to a Southern Italian hospital when I'm in Southern Italy, I know the service is already lacking, and it's, a bit third worldish, but I'll expect that.
Funny it took a little while for the doctor to stitch him up, probably due to the enormous deep gashes down his face. Notice as well he describes all the hospital staff as very nice people and treated him very well. Ignoring the fact he refers to Italian hospitals as being a bit third worldy, despite Italy having the 11th highest life expectancy in the world, over 50 places above the States, is the interviewer that winds me up the most. It's like, go on, ask him how much it cost him. In the States, hospitals are legally obliged to stabilise people in an emergency situation, for which they will then be billed for afterwards. But beyond this, no treatment or care is provided without insurance or payment in advance. They certainly wouldn't have offered Mr. Malignaggi a CT scan and plastic surgery without a payment in place. There's also no pushback regarding the lack of preparation, both on his part and the part of the bare knuckle promoter. Bare knuckle boxing causes far more cuts and blood than the glove version, this being the main reason they were introduced in the first place. Whether or not the gloves actually cause more long-term brain injury or not is not the debate here. It's the fact that he talks about the cuts so nonchalantly, like it's just a couple of grazes. I don't doubt Malignaggi was cut numerous times during his boxing career, but I suspect he was never cut anything close to as badly as this, and to suggest that not having a specialist plastic surgeon on hand to stitch his face within the hour is in some way negligent is ludicrous. If he and the promoter really cared about health outcomes, since cuts are almost guaranteed in bare knuckle, they should have had a plastic surgeon on hand at the events, but obviously the promoter isn't going to pay for that. Not even a fleeting thought that actually it was good of the NHS to offer him free facial surgery, given it was caused during an organised fight, which he was paid handsomely for. But who cares, right? It's just some semi-famous ex-boxer talking nonsense on YouTube. But this shit matters. Less than a week after he slanders the NHS, he's in Manchester covering the heavyweight clash between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois for TalkSport. A week after that, apparently still carrying a wound that he describes as being constantly infected, gets in the ring again for another bare knuckle fight. No outrage from the Patriots about yet another foreigner coming over, holding up the queue and exploiting the system, and then going on to publicly lie about the very institution that helped him. So why is it that some people are made to apologise for things they've said time and time again, even if the thing they said has some basis in truth, whilst others tell blatant lies but are never asked to explain the discrepancies in their story or asked to consider if what they've said is fair, let alone be asked to apologise? Why does Mr. Malignaggi get to slander the NHS, who are good enough to give him a CT scan, check his eye, then stitch his face all for free without means testing, regardless of the fact he sustained the injury during professional combat in which this type of outcome is likely? And instead of being challenged about his comments or being cancelled or asked to apologise, he was rewarded with a paid gig at one of the biggest sporting events of the year.